Welcome back to TMI with Teryl and Martha. It is so great to have you here. We want you to join us. So we want you to like and subscribe right here on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can also listen on all the different ways that you listen to a podcast. We're so excited about that. And today we've got a great person with us. Emilie Cook is joining us today.
Yes,
and Teryl, tell us about Emilie.
So Emilie and I go way back, similar to you and I going way back, right? So Emilie used to teach yoga at the Body Sanctuary once upon a time. And that was a long time ago for anyone listening to this podcast. That was over 20 years ago now. But you came to the Body Sanctuary soon after you were getting involved in yoga, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And she was a friends of mine, and it just worked out that she came in and taught classes at the Body Sanctuary on the square here in Gainesville. And so our relationship goes way back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
A while ago.
why don't we look to take, at least a few minutes to talk about yoga, what even the word means, and, we can just go from there.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't know.
Well, I think a lot of people think of yoga as exercise, and it certainly is. It for me it goes beyond that. It goes beyond just the physical body. A little bird told me that you don't like to exercise, and I don't really either.
No, I don't like to
exercise.
sweat.
Sweat. You don't
I don't like to sweat.
Okay.
There's a lot of you out there. I know.
Yes,
I'm a trainer,
Right.
so
I
I
walk.
know.
I do my rowing machine. A few other
that's
things.
exercise.
Yeah, but I haven't been released yet since my heart attack to do the rowing machine again. But in general, I don't like to sweat. And every time I get a trainer, they want to sweat my makeup off, and it's just not going to happen.
No. So yoga is a lot of people call it a work in instead of a work out. The word means union, so body, mind, soul connection. And that's kind of how I approach it, because I don't like to sweat much either.
That's what she said. She told me.
I do not. One of my favorite classes, in fact, is a restorative yoga class. I teach restorative yoga, almost exclusively restorative and gentle. I've got teachers that teach the sweating yoga.
There is a sweating.
There is some sweating yoga. And I call it a guided nap. So it's all about resting our nervous system, calming the mind, calming the body, and we need more of that.
Oh, especially
right now. Especially right now. We need to know that it's okay that we can be still, and it's okay that we don't have to be productive, and that we can actually just relax. And unless we start to do that, man,
all of us are going to have trouble. And we just talked about that last podcast. We were talking about recovery, and especially recovering after 50 or even 40 is a lot different than recovery when you're in your youth, right? It looks completely different.
And you only get one chance to recover correctly.
Yeah.
And if you miss that chance, like if you push yourself or you try too hard or you go too fast,
Trust me.
you got to start all the way over. I just said that to someone today.
It's very true. Yeah. And with Martha's heart attack, as scary as that was for her, it was equally as scary for people that care about her. And it was a kind of a wake-up call to handle stress more effectively, and not all of us are lucky enough to get a wake-up call that they actually wake up from, and I'm so glad you did. And I'm so glad that it was not damage done to your heart, that you just have to take some time to recover it. But, where you coming in at this particular juncture, I think is really good, because we can have real honest and open conversation and really hopefully maybe inspire more people to consider yoga as something they do within their week, that really you don't have to look at it as exercise. You can look at it as something for the body that is restorative.
Well, even more than that, anything can be yoga. Any movement done intentionally can be considered yoga. So walking is walking, but it can also be yoga. Can also be a mindfulness practice. And that's the mindfulness piece of yoga is, I think, what really helps us to find the ability to not let stress live in our tissues, in our bodies.
Yeah. And the thing I believe, this is my understanding of yoga too, and I certainly am not a yoga instructor, so I haven't gotten the time in that you guys have had. But I understand that yoga is more about breathing. So I understand that I can see with you saying that how you could actually be doing yoga in your walks that you like to take, even with your grandchildren
In
on
your
your
bed.
property, in your bed. Yoga is the act of mindful breath work, bringing in oxygen to the cells, sending it back out, and bringing it back in. That's actually yoga as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing I also say is if you can breathe, you can do yoga. So you can do yoga up until your very last breath.
Yeah.
So it is something that I think about a lot. I mean, different times in my life, I've taken yoga instruction at the spa before.
Yeah.
I've gone
beloved
to a
Carmen.
couple of classes. I did a program at my church called Beautiful in God's Eyes for mother and daughter, where Becky Martin
Yes, we
taught
love Becky.
yoga at that. So I've always thought about yoga, but it always gets to the point where I'm very inflexible. I feel very uncomfortable,
Right.
and it just doesn't go anywhere.
It's not enjoyable
Yeah.
for you when
Yeah.
you're trying to move.
But I
get
know
it.
it's a good idea. And I do, my daughter goes, Mom, you don't have to have, she's a dance instructor. And she's like, Mom, you don't have to go to a class. There are
Do it at
YouTube
home.
videos
So
everywhere.
many YouTube videos.
And so I'm doing a little Tai Chi now,
That's great.
as well as chair yoga.
That's
Okay,
great.
I've been
Chair
doing a little
yoga,
bit of
that's
that.
yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's the over 60 stuff, you got to do that. And the recovery stuff.
I can't wait. I have so much to say.
I know. It's the over 60 stuff. You have to do it. So that's what I look for. That's what I meant. That's what I searched
I'm
for.
going to wind you
is
up and
there you go.
Okay, so when I came in, you said, "Well, I don't do yoga because I'm inflexible," and I said, "Oh, that's my favorite excuse
I know.
to
She
hear."
did say that.
Because that's like saying I'm too dirty to take a bath. That's my favorite response to that. I'm too dirty to take a bath. I'm too inflexible to do yoga. And then my other thing that I
hear
was
that a
like,
lot.
I have to hold it in and say, what do you, just out of curiosity, what do you suppose is my median age of student at the studio?
I'm sure they're older.
Yeah.
Because you do a lot of daytime.
I do a lot
classes,
of daytime, but even
yes.
in my nighttime classes, I'm going to guess that and I've not done this, but I would guess that the average age of my students is about 70.
wow. That is
60 to
that
70.
is great. That is great.
And I'm not the only one that teaches, but one of the trainings that I got was in therapeutic yoga. And one of the things that the teachers that were teaching that class told us and taught us and has stuck with me is that my clients will continue to get older. And so unless I know how to teach,
kind of a thing.
hopefully, right? Unless I learn to teach the older body, I'm going to teach myself out of a job. And because I've always gravitated towards the gentle, towards the mindfulness, I was like, this is great. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, and you're not alone in the, lots of people don't go to yoga classes for lots of different reasons.
Because, I come from the age of people that when we were kids and coming up, you had a lot of this bouncy stretching you did. So you probably hurt yourself a lot. There was, a lot of things we did trying to stretch out our legs. Excuse me, pollen's still out in the air. Stretch out your legs, do all that stuff. And we did a lot of stuff wrong. And when we, in the 60s and 70s, when we were learning how to do this kind of stuff. So I think there's some challenges there too. But look, I'm open. I'm open to doing new things. That's why I go to YouTube and look it up. And you can like and subscribe to TMI with Teryl and Martha if you're watching us on YouTube. Hello. So it's because it's an amazing thing. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Just like every communication method. Like I'm sitting here, over producing with my little notes and my phone here, and that's kind of the way we live our lives. We're very busy. One of the things I'm doing now is when I get home in the evenings, I put my phone in the kitchen just like it's an old extension phone. Do you know what I mean? And just put it in there. And then if I get to you, I get to you. If I hear you, I hear you. But if I don't, I don't. And I just kind of leave it that way. I kind of made that change. But I'm also, really, especially since I had a heart attack, I'm really thinking about, how to exercise more, how to work it into my day, how to make it a part of things, because I don't like I don't like finding the time to go to a class. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
And because things come up in my life all the time, and I don't like, being over pushed sometimes. You feel like you're judged sometimes in a class like
totally
that.
Get that.
I know I'm hitting lots of nerves here. I get that.
No, you're being absolutely honest.
We call it herd mentality in a yoga studio. And no matter how many times I say, you must listen to your body. What I
do
say
what the
is,
other one's doing.
Right. What I say is optional. What your body says is mandatory. I can say it 1,000 different ways. If you're in a group class with a bunch of other people and they're all doing something that you think you should be able to do, it is innate in us to want to try to do that. So I invite people to close their eyes. I do lots of private sessions. I have solutions for you. I have a
Isn't that great?
I have a whole bunch of yoga that I teach my private session people that they can do in bed. Do it before you get out of bed in the morning. Do it in bed before you go to sleep. It's more about relaxing. It's more about releasing tension than it is about building muscle or bone. I forget what the other thing I was going to say.
But that's exactly what you need, right? Your heart told you so. Your mind may not have told you that.
Oh, my mind is still fighting it big time.
But your heart told you that. And so that's why I was so excited about Emilie coming on, because she can say things in ways that I just can't, because she's been doing that for so long. But it's all about the stress lowering and getting it out of your tissues so that you're not ever going to have that happen again, because your body is going to have other release valves. The Tai Chi, great one.
Tai Chi is great.
Yeah.
It's really, really great.
So
it's kind of making a resurgence, like it's popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
I know it's because I'm searching for it on Google, but still, it still pops up more. It seems like more people are being a part of it. And I was at the spa one time, and you were having some kind of
on the front lawn
outdoor Tai Chi,
Steve,
and there was
remember
like
Dr. Steve?
millions of people were there.
North
It felt like
So you're doing it online?
I am.
Because I had a Tai Chi teacher for a minute. I've had him a couple of times. Send them to me.
She's downstairs in this building.
I would love to have Tai Chi on the
you.
schedule again.
I will introduce you. She's doing it at the church, I think. But,
great.
But I think she could do it with you too.
Yeah,
I think it'd be
awesome.
great. But, Tai Chi, you can actually, if you do a mindful breath work, which they ask you to do anyway, it is to also a form of yoga. So, you kind of are doing yoga. I think your point was it was and I know what you're saying, because I've been in this, and so does she. It was my husband's one of you. He had private yoga sessions with our beloved Carmen at my home in the most private situation, and it wasn't working for him because he's built like a bulldog, and his body was just tight, and it hurt, and it didn't feel good, so it was a problem,
right.
And that's why I really do understand what you're saying. So you can also, though, find solutions for that. Like, she's really good at being able to compensate and help show you things that will be comfortable for you and how to do yoga in different ways.
Yeah.
So, and that's where everybody who's watching really or listening should understand that there's way more to yoga than just doing sun salutations.
I don't even teach those anymore.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah. So Emilie has molded her life around yoga and a yoga that works for her. So
how'd you get into doing this?
So my first class was, I was newly married, and we'd moved to Athens, and I didn't know anybody. So I went to my first class in 1996, and then I didn't go back for a while. And then I got pregnant in 1998, early 98. And I just knew that my body needed something. So I took some prenatal yoga classes, and I practiced at home, got books, got videos, that sort of thing. And I was hooked. And it's funny because prenatal yoga and the kind of yoga that I like to teach, which is the gentle, restorative, mindful, very similar.
Yeah.
They're the same. Yeah. They're two sides of the same coin. And then had 3 babies, did yoga with all 3 pregnancies, did yoga with the babies. And then I stayed at home. And when we started talking about, I'm going back, the kids are getting older, time for me to go back to work, I was like, what would I do if I didn't even get paid for it? And what can I do in soft pants?
i.e. yoga pants.
That's
without
awesome.
shoes on, because I hate to wear shoes. I've always hated to wear shoes. And I was like, haha, that's funny. I could do yoga. I could be a yoga instructor. And my husband was like, actually,
that's
a
not
good
bad
idea.
Yeah.
So I looked into it. It was intensive. It was
The trainings are big time.
Well, it can be.
Yeah,
Sometimes you can do it
Right.
in 24 hours, and I don't recommend that you go to that teacher. Sorry. So I took it was a year. Every other weekend for a year, had little babies. My youngest was 3. So that was kind of rough. I think back on that and I think, wow, that was a lot. And then I started teaching all over town. At one point I was teaching 12 classes in 10 locations. I was like, this stinks.
That sounds like another A-type personality.
It was not great.
In the midst of all
I'm
this.
so not an A-type.
Oh, no. How did you let that happen, though?
I don't know how I let that happen, but I stopped it as soon as I recognized it. I was like, no.
This is not working.
That's the
This is
difference
not gonna
between
work out.
A-type personalities. We do that on purpose.
No. So, I mean, I just kept saying yes because I was like, I'm building my clientele. And then I ended up, it all kind of happened a little bit by accident. I say that a lot. I know that's not 100% true, but I didn't make a lot of choices. Choices happened to me because I was like, well, that's fine. I will have my own space, but I don't think I ever want to have any teachers that I'm in charge of.
Right.
So I got a small...
Don't want to manage people.
Didn't want to manage people. So I got a small space. And then somebody said, hey, I've got this teacher that I need you to take over. It was Teryl. She was like, I need Carmen a place to teach her students. So Carmen came on. And so I had one teacher and I was like, that's great. That's fine. Carmen handles herself. I don't have to handle Carmen. Nope. So I had one teacher and then I needed a new space. I needed a bigger space. And so then I was like, okay, at that point it was yoga with Emilie. And then I was like, well, it's not really yoga with Emilie anymore because I have Carmen. And then now I have 7 teachers.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happened either.
Isn't it still yoga with Emilie?
No, it's Find Your Center Yoga.
Oh, Find Your Center
Yoga.
My gosh,
That's
so
right.
I went back in time and grabbed the yoga by Emilie.
Yeah, it used to be yoga with Emilie. It still kind of is, but it's
Find Your Center
yoga.
That's how people can find you.
Find
and we'll
me.
talk about that.
Someone told me that I was brilliant to make that my name because anytime you're Googling find a yoga center, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It's because that's one of the things I say quite often in a class. I'll say, okay, now find your center.
Yes.
So like the center of your moral compass, the center of your body, the center of your breath. So that's how I came up with the name. But apparently
It's a good name.
It was a good name
to have.
It was a good name. So yeah, that's the short version of I was pregnant, did yoga. Now I own a yoga studio.
But you've been there a little while now. How many years?
I have. We just celebrated 15 years in business as a studio, 8 years in the current space.
Right.
I do not like to move. So I will be there until I get kicked out.
So how did you manage through COVID?
Oh, very carefully.
Yes.
With the support of my students, one in particular who knows who she is.
You can say names.
Winter Cox. I couldn't have done it without Winter Cox.
I love Winter.
I love Winter.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we're going to close for the 2 weeks, right? Stop the spread weeks. And everybody was like, yes, totally understand. So we stopped. And then Winter was like, you got to do Zoom yoga. I'm dying. And I was like, I can't. I don't even know how. And she's like, you got to figure it out. And I was like, okay, I'll try. So I started with just my phone. And then my husband's pretty technical. So he was like, no, we'll
set this up and
we need more.
Do it. Yeah.
So I got a stand for my phone and then I got a camera and then I had special lighting put in the studio and we did Zoom yoga. I don't even know how long, too long. Yeah. I kept it for a long time too because I
even after COVID, a lot of places. That's the startup of so many Zoom situations now.
Yeah,
Zoom personal
I was
training,
really
online.
I was going to get out of it as soon as I possibly could. But I had a few students who were
really
homebound. One was a caregiver for her husband and couldn't leave, so I kept it for a very, very long time. And then after I did Zoom and in person, and I taped out spots so we would have 6 feet distance. And for a while I required masks and we had doors open. And then I was like, we can take masks away, I think. doors and windows stayed open. And then eventually I was like, I think we're good. We're going to take the
Let's
tape
just-
to the floor.
Let's just do this.
Let's just
Yeah,
do it.
and it's so funny because during that time, we did go to Florida to see my in-laws, okay? And it was out at the beach. It was like this, and my son was training for a half marathon. And it was so funny how he was running down the street at Fernandina Beach and literally by himself on one side of the street. And if anybody even came close to him, they were like jumping away. And I just thought, this is crazy.
Craziness,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, this is not logical what we are doing to ourselves. Okay.
It was fear-based behavior.
It was fear-based behavior.
In so many ways.
I mean, I had my cousin move to Arizona because he could, because there were big open places where you wouldn't have to interact with anybody. And I'm like, I just don't think that's healthy. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. And so I think that's interesting about how, because I was following you. I mean, I get your newsletter. I've made a few phone calls. I've done all that kind of stuff.
I do remember talking to
Yes,
you now.
yes.
I do. It's
I've made
coming
a
back
few
to
phone
me.
calls. I've done all that kind of stuff. So I followed you, and I love businesses that made it through. You know, I know several people that were in kind of similar line of work where they either did training or whatever, and how they had to do it. And I had one person call me up and go, I'm going to go out of business if I don't have to do that. And I remember calling the city and going, this is just not right. That I understand why
people
they're doing it.
Their
but
businesses are closing.
But there's people whose businesses are closing because they do one-on-one training. And if you can't do one-on-one training,
what do you do?
what do you do?
Yeah, you can't
We
pay your
didn't
bills.
know. I mean,
it was
there was a
a
lot
tough
of
time.
unknown.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I did overreact a bit with my family. You can ask my daughter about that.
Yes, it's true. True. I don't know about you, but I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
People,
but,
I saw it.
Yeah.
we did the best we could with the information we had at the time. And then now that we know better,
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
hard to say it's like we can look back at it and kind of go, wow, that kind of was, some behaviors were very weird.
Well, and not to get too far off topic, but it was so funny because I think that especially in the United States, President Trump is a known germaphobe. Okay.
Is he?
And so he is a known germaphobe. And the combination of a virus we didn't know about and, the NIH saying, if you don't do anything, we're going to lose 2.5 million Americans by August, which was 6 months away.
Yeah.
What I didn't understand, and I'm not being political about this at all, but when we got to August and only 165,000 Americans had died, which is terrible.
Oh, that's
It's
a lot.
a long way from 2.5 million.
Yeah.
And that should have been the trigger that, okay, maybe we do have better control over this than we think we do, and we don't need to,
Right.
shut our lives down anymore.
Well,
I just think there wasn't logical thinking going on at the time. And it was fear. It was unknown. It was all the things you've said.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting. So I'm really thankful you made it through, though, because you did that by being flexible and innovative. Yeah, absolutely.
It kind of forced us to innovate, didn't it? And, I was lucky enough to be able to keep the spa open because I had licensed practitioners who were considered necessity,
But you had a little problem with people like, why are you opening? Giving you a hard time. I remember that.
I did.
Yeah.
But, I handled that in such a way that they went, oh, because one of the things some of those people didn't realize is that I have a legitimate natural pharmacy, and that pharmacy, although it's not pharmaceutical drugs, was what people were using and coming and going. And that's the only thing I was open for, was for the acupuncturist and the chiropractor and the pharmacy. Those were the things that people were using to fight the illness and to stay well.
Yes.
So once I explained to people that we were open because the natural pharmacy and the other practitioners were keeping people well that don't particularly tend to use pharmaceutical drugs, right? So then they go, oh, we never thought of it that way. That's why, 90% of the time, I think that once people stop to pause to consider other people's actions and maybe find out more information as to the reason for them, they tend to lose the steam in the battle. But as all that, I think, relates to what we went through with COVID and the sustainability of yoga and anything like what you're doing now, Tai Chi, the time we are in the world right now, like you said earlier, if people don't find ways to manage the stress. Because even if they feel like, their world is fine and they're not stressed, we're one body of human beings.
Yeah,
there is a subconscious connection for all of us. So one part of humanity can't be in the middle of a war without another part of humanity actually at a very deep surface level feeling that. The body of God is more than just one group of people. There's a heart, there's lungs, there's different parts. And so, that's my perspective on how you can end up in a being stressed and your body's feeling the stress, but although your mind doesn't necessarily know you're stressed.
Emilie, what do you think is the biggest misunderstanding about yoga?
In this area, that it's a religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I thought that's what you were going to say.
Yeah.
Because that was, 25 years ago when I had the Beautiful in God's Eyes, and we got Karen McHugh to come and teach yoga.
That's my girl right
and
there.
she taught a yoga class for us. And, some people were kind of pushing back on
nervous,
that.
yeah.
And then, of course, Becky Martin started at our church, and now she does Christ-centered yoga in other places. And I think it is a perception that it's some sort of belief system as opposed to what it is.
Yeah. That's a great question.
It is. She's good at that.
Religion or yoga rather, supports any religion. So any spiritual religious path can be supported by yoga. Now, yoga does have some tenets that sound an awful lot like some of our rules for living and commandments. I mean, there's non-harming, there's non-grasping. So I'm trying to think of them all in my head, and I'm not going to remember them all.
Well, they're principles, right?
They're principles. They're guiding principles.
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the real, arguments in favor of, I believe, Christianity is that the foundations are very similar to all the great religions, and
it's just principle. Like a principle is a principle. It's
yeah.
You don't change it it doesn't change whether you believe in it or not. It's just a principle.
Right. It's a how do you live your life for yourself, and then how do you treat others? Or there's 5 and 5, the yamas and the niyamas, and the first 5 are inward, and the second 5 are how you interact
with other people.
In the
will you also explain too what the word? A lot of people, and this is when we first opened. Well, I didn't open it. It was Karen McHugh's studio, and she had Namaste, which is still there on the Storybook Market's floor.
Is it really?
Yes.
Nice.
And so the word Namaste was written. And when we first opened, I had some people ask me if I could take that off the floor. And I said to them, no. I just did, because I said to them, what does it mean?
There's lots of translations.
Yes.
My personal favorite is the very good and the very best part of God that is within me sees and honors the very good and the very best part of God that is within you.
Mm-hmm. And I felt like that was such a wonderful a word also carries with it a vibrating pattern, a vibrational pattern. So even written on the floor, it's still breathing that message into the space. Some people say I know how Marianne Williamson of me, but it's true. I mean, a microwave's a microwave. You can't see it, but it's there, right? A radio wave, which you should know about.
Yes,
because you don't see the radio waves.
I do love your depth, though, Teryl.
I know you do.
I mean, it's like...
She does. She gets so tickled with me. But the world is based on quantum physics.
It is.
Yeah. It is a quantum physics world. We can't deny it.
There's so many woo-woo things that are being proven.
What are that? Those are electrical. Mm-hmm. We are electrical beings. We are affected by other electrical things.
Yeah.
She knows. I read quantum physics books. So, but the light in me honors the light in you.
That's a really basic.
That's a very basic statement as well. So I explain that to the women. It's just a word that honors God. Do you honor God? Yes. Do you love God?
And it's your intention
and
behind it.
I'm like, it's
right.
Not, it's a
it's
safe
the
word.
intention.
Right.
Well, when I began, I don't remember how many years ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to start ending my classes with Om.
Oh,
I was like, oh God, I'm so nervous.
They're going to come at you.
I don't know how this is gonna go. So Om is believed to be the sound of when the universe was created. And it's 2 letters and it's a sound, and I'm not gonna do it because I'm I'm anxious about that. But I told my class, I said, I'd like to start ending our class with the sound of Om, and just want to see how it goes. And the first time I did it, I think somebody cried.
Yeah, it's a very magical
everybody was
tone.
like, "Oh my God, can we?" And I don't know honestly
right
if my teachers do it. I don't keep a short leash on them. I let them do their own classes.
Yeah,
but I end every single class with that sound.
One of my best friends is Danita Hamilton, and I say names because if I call your name out, it's because I love you. I wouldn't say your name if I didn't. But anyway. Danita is an incredible example of a woman committed to the yoga practice. She does her yoga classes free of charge. Yep. You just bring canned goods for a donation to the food bank. She is in her 70s, but I'm lucky to keep up with her. And
She's a force.
She is a force of nature. And she is a real example of how yoga can keep someone youthful and healthy. And I am in a class. When I go to her yoga class, I am for sure probably one of the youngest person, if not the youngest person in the room. And these women are beautiful. Gainesville, very, religiously endowed, they love their Christianity. They love their churches and their belief system. And we all sit in that room, Martha, at the end of the session. And when we do the Om, because we do the Om in Danita's class too, it is like a beautiful end of a practice that every single person in there feels enlightened from because of the tone and the frequency of it.
Physically, it actually also has a benefit and this would be really good for
vagus
you.
Nerve, right?
The vagus nerve. So humming, vagus nerves runs from the base of your spine down through your eyes, down your throat, all the way into your gut. It controls all sorts of things. And a vagus nerve reset, one of the things that they have you do, talking is one, singing is another, humming is one, and oming is essentially a hum, and it vibrates that vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is responsible for our relaxation response. So it switches us from fight, flight, and freeze to rest, digest, and
recover, I think.
Maybe? Yeah, I'm forgetting again. So in your car, sing or hum.
Oh, I do that.
Yeah, I do too. I hum around. I don't even realize I'm doing it. I'm humming around.
And I talk to myself all the time, and I talk to the dog. I don't really want to go back to it, but I would be remiss if I didn't say this about masks and COVID. One of the reasons that I was so I'm going to be safe is I have a child with an autoimmune disease, and we did not know what was going to do. Yeah. So I was like,
you had at-risk child at home.
I did. I had an at-risk child. I had no idea where this was going to lead us. And so anyway, you can cut that out.
Important. That's important to say because I think that what we see looking back,
exactly. Hindsight's
is
20/20.
that, you looked, Sweden got really criticized, okay? But what they did is say, if you were immunocompromised, do this. If you were over 70, do this. Other people that are basically healthy and not immunocompromised, go and live your life.
Right.
And
take your risk.
And they did peak sooner than everybody else. So everybody went, look, you're doing the wrong thing. But they got to normal.
And they had some herd immunity as well.
Yeah.
That developed there.
Yeah. So I think that it's, and I think the message kind of from these multiple stories is about judgment and looking at things. So you've mentioned that class you go to has mostly older people. You've mentioned that most of your people are older people. Is it that younger people don't take up yoga because they're in such a hurry?
Oh, they're doing
sweaty yoga. Where are they? Where are they going to yoga?
They're at sweaty yoga.
Sweaty yoga. Okay. My daughter loves yoga.
Yeah.
But she's sweating.
But not all of them. So I've got some, my youngest I think right now is 23 or 24. But she wants to, not my youngest child, although she is also 23 or 24. but my youngest student, but she comes to the gentle restorative classes.
Yeah.
It's the personality.
So I think that, I wonder if my studio has a reputation now for being for older people, and maybe that's why I'm not seeing
or the
so many
slower,
younger.
more restorative. I mean, it could be kind of either or, right?
But I definitely have some. My Monday night teacher, her tagline is, "I will joyfully or happily kick your butt."
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not coming to your
Oh,
class.
I've seen bodybuilders sweat and shake doing yoga.
I think it's a
and
look.
just
I still think it's a great thing to do. I'm trying to find my own match of what's going to work for me to do it.
Yeah.
That's the only way to do it. You can't force it. You can't. It has to happen in its own time. I have conversations with people about yoga, and it will be fully 3 years later before I see them in the studio, and then they become lifelong students.
You've got to hit the niche.
You got to come to it on your own.
I did for a little while. I did the reformer Pilates.
Oh,
The reformer Pilates, and it was really pretty good. And I did it one-on-one just for the same reasons I do one-on-one yoga, because I get nervous about it. But then I got a little injury, and so I had to stop for a while, and that's okay. That's okay. It's just, it was just better for me to do that. But I also just find, for me and my lifestyle and my stress in my lifestyle, blocking that time off, like 6:30 to 7 o'clock in the morning, and doing it from home just works better for me.
Yeah. And
and it's because getting dressed and going to a gym, or getting dressed and going, because that means I've got to get changed again, and I've got to do this and that. And I'm very rigid, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, about doing things in order on the way into town and on the way out of town. And once I'm back home, I don't want to go out again. So that's just me.
I'm the same way. I want to say, though, that if
I call it trip chaining.
If you get up and you are consistent about doing Tai Chi or doing yoga or whatever, you are actually far ahead of the game.
Yes, you are.
Most of the people that come to my studio say, well, I'll say to them, well, you can do this at home. Oh, but I won't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say fully 90% of the people that I see in my studio come to the studio because they don't have that discipline. So if you're doing it at home.
Yeah.
Well,
it's so crazy because I've
worked with me couldn't do it alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I've had of course I had the heart attack on February 5th, but prior to that, 5 years prior to that, I had what was called a pneumonic effusion. It was right at the height of COVID. It's like I'm a basically healthy person, but have these acute things that happen to me that I'm going to recover from. Do you know what I mean? And because I'm a basically healthy person, I do recover from them. But that was when, at that point, I was about 87 pounds more than I am now. And my sweet husband, because I was having trouble breathing, I had this infection, and everybody's got strep in their body. And what happens occasionally, it's very rare, the strep gets out and wreaks havoc. And that's what happened. That's what's called a pneumonic effusion. And so my sweet husband, after I got through the 6 weeks of IV antibiotics and, all the things he had to do, and he's a primary care physician, he said, honey, your weight did not cause this, but it made it harder for you to recover.
Yeah.
And I had always been that person that said, oh, all my numbers are great except for my weight. And they were. But they were starting to change. I was 60 years old at the time, and I was starting to be pre-diabetic. I was starting to have higher numbers.
Everything was starting to
go in the wrong direction. Okay.
Right.
And I said, okay, there's still time, to fix this. And so, over the last almost 6 years now, I have lost a lot of weight. I've kept it off. I've been more mobile, and I've changed the way I do things, and not that I wasn't active before. I wasn't sitting around and eating bonbons, or anything like that. I just wasn't paying attention, and the big thing was, what's the old saying? You can't exercise
your way out of a bad diet. Or
That's
a bad
right.
lifestyle.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I've changed my diet. I've changed the way I eat. I don't deny myself anything. It's just the portion amounts and then the balance of what I eat. And I'm comfortable about it. I'm not sweating about it for the first time in my life. And so I do feel like people go, oh, you had these two big health problems since you've done this. Maybe they're related. No, they're totally unrelated. And I'm doing a better job for myself.
But, the type of heart attack
I should come to your class. I should come.
I'd love to have you.
Or just let her do one-on-one with you.
You're a little bit of a celebrity.
Yeah, you are. She is, isn't she? But what the last piece to what you need to change and do, which you've done all the work right? Relative to you've done. How many people have had that much? Can lose 87 pounds. I mean, that's a challenge.
Like
and
a
you
little
did it.
child.
It is. You did great. So your heart attack was telling you.
Oh, stress. That's
that
the
there's
last
one
part.
piece that you have not managed yet.
That's true.
Right? And you just didn't realize you hadn't managed yet because you had been so successful with the other stuff. And your A-type personality and people like she and I.
Well, and I'm the
handle
one.
lots,
I'm the one that solve other people's problems.
That's right.
That I'm the one people come to
Right.
with their stress,
Right.
and
you
get me to
absorb
fix it.
whether you know
Yes,
it or not.
That's
You
right.
do absorb
That's
it.
right.
Do you have kids?
Oh, I have 4
she
kids.
does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they come to you with their problems even as adults?
The boys not so much, but my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, boys just keep it inside.
Yeah.
You know,
All
occasionally
of that
they do.
sets up in the body.
Yeah.
But see, this is like lovely because we're always having to deal with stress. No one ever conquers stress, truly. You
Well,
know? So you
and-
get to now see, well, what else can I do?
Well, you mentioned
that.
Marianne Williamson,
Yes.
but there's another book. She's known for the Course in Miracles, but there's another book she wrote for Oprah back in the day called A Course on Weight Loss. And she delves a lot into this carrying stress
Right. And the
into your
tissues.
body in that in the tissues. And maybe she did it in Course in Miracles. I didn't read that one, but it was very much, you know, how you have to deal with that kind of thing and you absorb it. And I absorb everybody's stress. I'll admit it. I absorb everybody's stress and I've got to change that now. So my girlfriend said, you've got to expand the no, Martha. You got to expand the no.
No is
And
a full
so,
sentence.
You know, so I am doing, you know, I'm doing better. I got to say, I'm not, you know, it's a change. It's a big change
can
in the way I've
see
lived.
you
Yeah.
bringing your 10 steaks in a little, which is good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that it's really a human concern. This isn't just a me and Martha and you sitting
But I
here
also
talking. This
think-
is something everybody needs to consider in their lives.
I also
right
think it's
now.
women of our age. And I'm not, I
Yeah.
know you're younger than
Yeah.
we are, but
I don't feel
but,
very young.
but it's women of our age
Yes.
because we were the first to do this and the first to do that. But we still thought we had to do everything on top of the first.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we also, one of my biggest things about women and how we treat each other is that we separate ourselves based on if you work or stay home. Like I'm like you in that I had a very busy career and then I had children and then I decided to stay home for about 8 years until I married a man with children and then we had our own and I stayed home until I had drivers and kids in school
They
and
were
I had a
busy.
little when they were older and then I rebuilt my career, but I started part-time and went through. But there were a lot of times when, you know, people kind of lay this burden on you. It's like we expect so much of the women in our lives
Yeah.
and the women in this country because we take it on. Let's be honest. We want to fix everybody's problems,
Yeah, it's our
especially once you
nature.
become a mother. You want to fix everybody's problems.
Yeah.
And it's not that, or a caregiver. You know, I'm
Right.
learning that now as being a caregiver.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not just about, we separate based on women that have kids and women who don't, women who work and women who don't. I would argue every woman works.
Everyone works.
There's
Everyone
no one
how many
out there that-
jobs does she work?
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
right.
How many jobs does
Absolutely.
she work?
Absolutely. I mean, my husband does one thing at a time. That's the way he is. I'm like managing, you know, everything
Plates in
all
the
the
air.
time. That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm
There's
working on that.
There is, I mean, that's a real issue in our society is that women have to do it all, and a man typically, marriage is good for a man because then he's marrying into a support system, and a woman is oftentimes, not in my case, 'cause not my husband. Oftentimes you're just inheriting a big child, you know, so you have to do
grown-up
things for them, a
child.
grown-up
That's very
child.
true.
But
That's
also
all-
we
that's
let
way
that
off topic.
we let that happen. It's
Yeah.
really not though, because yoga is about managing stress
Yeah.
and learning how to deal with that.
It's not
and
off topic at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
that's true.
do think, and you know, and I do think that one of the challenges we all have to have is, and this is like my tagline that I've used for 35 years. You can have it all, just not at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's about priorities and making choices. And
Right.
that doesn't mean you're giving something up. I hear younger women talk about, well, I'm going to wait, you know, for this because I have to do this first. Well, you can't actually predict exactly what order things are going to happen.
That is
Right.
the truth.
Because you don't know when you're all of a sudden
100%.
going to have to care for a parent or you're all of a sudden
Or
going
a
to have to.
spouse.
Yeah.
If you're married,
You just don't know.
You don't know.
or when you're going to have to be cared for.
Yes.
You know, you don't
What is
know.
it they say about Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire? What's the difference between them? Nothing. She just does everything backwards and in heels.
Yeah, she said that. She said that. I do everything
love
backward in
that.
heels, and I do love Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. It is
my
just,
goodness.
you know, it is just wonderful. It has been great to talk to you today. Tell folks if they want to find out more about Find Your Center Yoga,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Good job.
All right.
They
That
can
was good.
Google Find
Yeah.
Your Center Yoga. I've got a website. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. A little less these days, but definitely on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Stay away from the social media, except YouTube and TMI with Teryl and Martha. That's right.
Social media is going to
Those
be
are
the end
okay.
of us, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Might already be. You can find my phone number on there as well, and I answer texts way too often.
Wow.
Any time of day, just about, I'll answer a text. Phone calls less. But you can call me, you can email me, you can text me, you can find the class schedule, you can find special classes. I've got two.
You can buy gift cards for other people.
You can buy
Yes,
gift cards for other
I
people.
do that.
I do have a sound bath coming up. I know Teryl said that she wanted
Yes.
to bring you to one. We have one on
Can you-
Sunday.
Can you, this coming Sunday?
We also have one on Friday night before Mother's Day. That'll be our next one.
Ooh.
Okay,
That's like a
That's
Mother's Day.
interesting.
let's do that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that one.
Okay.
Can you just get us in there for that? Just
Yeah.
save me 2 mats,
Yeah.
and I won't hang her from the cocoon at this point,
Oh.
but that's
Next
kind of
time.
nice.
Next time. The hammocks,
time.
The hammocks on the sound baths are
we'll
really
lay on the
something
mat
special.
first, and then the next time we're going to hang in the cocoons because those are fun.
Sarah wants to go.
All right, I'm terrified now. But anyway, but we're so glad that you're here with us today. We want you to like and subscribe for TMI with Teryl and Martha. And I hope you loved this as much as I did. And Teryl, you know, we got to keep opening minds.
We do it every time we sit down to each other. And to hopefully you guys out there listening to us, I hope you understand how much we care to share this information with you. We laugh. We've had a few tears, at least I have. So please go back, watch all of our shows, share any of these shows that you really like or that you feel a family member or a friend would benefit from. We just love doing what we're doing, Martha and I. We know that your wellness deserves a little oversharing.